We're going from Pennsylvania Station to Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is our next stop. It only takes 1 hour and 22 minutes to make the trip, so it's barely enough time to take a nap and look at some of the scenery going by, and then we've arrived in Philadelphia at the 30th Street Station, which is the second busiest train station on the Amtrak system. We walked through 30th Street Station. It was built in the 1930s in a grand opulent style, and it's now on the National Register of Historic Places. It's all been renovated and it's sparkling today. Very busy train station, and out front there's a lot of taxis waiting for us to whisk us through downtown, and right away we begin to see signs of a modern, thriving metropolis. A lot of brand new high-rises, some postmodern structures. We're looking for the history as well as the contemporary life, and we're going to show it all to you in today's World Traveler. Approaching City Hall, built at the turn of the century in a Second Empire style. We'll show you a little bit more of that later in the program. And we get into the colonial back streets of the city. This is really what we've come to see, the fall colors at their best, the old brick buildings of the colonial town of Philadelphia. It's a very green city with trees on every street. There's squirrels in the parks. It's a clean and safe place, and made that much more pleasant by the large number of parks that are scattered through the city. We're now entering the most historic square mile in America. Independence Hall in Philadelphia behind me is where America began, for it was here that it was first declared that America should be free and independent from Great Britain. This was the intellectual, political, economic center of the country at that time, and it's where the Continental Congress met, and all of the great luminaries came together. Jefferson, Washington, Franklin, Adams, all of them met here at Independence Hall and declared our independence. One of the main reasons that we've come to Philadelphia is to see American history come to life again. And at Independence National Park, you get the wonderful experience of walking through these buildings that are over 200 years old and hearing informative talks from the different park rangers about what was going on and the events leading up to the Revolution and the Declaration of Independence. Walking through Independence Park puts you right back in touch with American history. You see where the country was born, where we first declared our independence, and where we first formed our government. The Constitution was written here, the Declaration was signed here, and the buildings are still standing, and you can come and see them. The park rangers will tell you the history, and you can even see the Liberty Bell, crack and all. The most popular visitor attraction in all of Philadelphia is this. It's the Liberty Bell. It's the symbol of America's independence. It cracked once, they fixed it, it kept ringing, and then it cracked again, and the guide tells us all about it, and we can actually see the cracks up close.
Second crack in the bell begins at the top of the repaired section. Now the second crack you've got to look for. That is one of those thin cracks of which I was speaking. Little thin line from the repaired section through the word "and" in the front. That is the best place to see it. But it comes around towards me, and it eventually climbs to the top of the bell. That second crack is the real problem. Even today, we don't worry so much about that first crack, but that second one, that's the one that we have to keep an eye on. That is the reason that this bell does not ring. In fact, that is the reason this bell has not been rung in 150 years. But as I said, the nice thing is, because this was considered important when it cracked, they'd hang on to it, bring it down out of the tower, put it on display, and eventually in 1996 give it its own building.
This park offers one of the greatest travel bargains and experiences in the world, for you get to walk through these historic buildings, beautifully preserved from 200 years ago, and listen to the knowledgeable park rangers, and it's all for free.
It was between these walls where both the Declaration of Independence and U.S. Constitution were signed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, something happened in this room which would symbolize the break between the king and his colonies. The event that I'm describing occurred on July 8, 1776. That was the day in which the Declaration of Independence was read publicly for the first time. It was read in the courtyard behind this building. Tensions continued to escalate, and by April of 1775, the Battle of Lexington and Concord had taken place. With this battle, we were officially at war with Britain. Well, everything changed on a warm afternoon in June 1776. It was on a Friday afternoon. The delegates were preparing to leave, when all of a sudden, a gentleman from Virginia stood up in the corner and made an announcement. His name was Richard Henry Lee, and this is what he said: "Be it resolved that each and every one of these colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states." Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Declaration did its job. This document explained the reasons for independence. This document created the United States.
Folks, this was an illustrious crowd. They were the best and the brightest. There was nothing mediocre about them.
The Rangers' talk is very entertaining and impressive, both for its content and because it's being delivered inside Independence Hall, which is America's most historic building from this period.
We, the people, have benefited greatly by the work done right here. These men had the foresight to provide these documents the ability to change and adapt.
Next, we walk a few blocks to the Second Bank of the United States, which is now a portrait gallery.
Right in front of us, we have a very large statue of George Washington done by William Rush. And it's done out of pine wood, carved out of pine wood. Right behind us, we have portraits of the capital city. There you will find William Penn, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin. You will find Peale, the man that painted about 84 of these portraits. You will find Martha Washington, Dolly Madison, and James Madison's on through this archway. So be free to look through. If you have any questions, please ask. Take as many pictures as you like and enjoy your visit.
Another of the most historic buildings at Independence Park is Carpenters Hall, for it was here that the First Continental Congress met and issued a list of grievances to the English king. It was built in 1770 as a headquarters for the Carpenters Guild, so you can believe this is a very well-built structure. The Carpenters were an important union in Philadelphia at the time because it was one of the fastest growing cities in the world. By 1780, Philadelphia was the largest city in North America, and by 1790 it became the capital of the United States and remained the capital until 1800. At that time, it was also the economic center of the country, and thousands of beautiful buildings were constructed, many of which are still standing today.